Greetings, family. Welcome to the Alkebulan radio show. We are doing a special segment today. It is the fifth Saturday in August, and we have a return guest in the studio with us. We have my brother Source here, who is a healer extraordinaire. He is also founder and owner of Main Source Energy Herbal Products, Main Source Energy Services, and we also have with us today the Soul Brothers, who you just heard on the drums. And give thanks to the Soul Brothers; they're behind the scenes today. And that song that you heard was a traditional African rhythm called Sourcene. And Sourcene is played when people are not feeling well, when they're sick, when they're sad. And as we have a healer in the studio with us today, we will be talking about man, know thyself. Why are we getting sick? And what can we do to heal ourselves from cancer and other diseases? And before we start, as we should do and we always do, we ground ourselves and give thanks to the Almighty Creator. And we are also going to have a source participate in that as well. After my prayer, he's going to do a special chant. Give thanks, Almighty Creator. Give thanks for all that we have and all that we are. We give thanks for the opportunity to be here today, to shine our light brightly into the world, to allow ourselves to be examples for others, to be encouraged, to stand in their divinity. We give thanks for our ancestors and for the wisdom. We give thanks for our culture, which is sacred and must be preserved. We give thanks for our elders, and we honor them and how we live our lives. We give thanks for the youth, and we do all that we can so that they can inherit a world better than the one that they were born into. We also acknowledge those who are to come, the unborn children that are coming into this world. And we also give thanks for the opportunity to know that today is always going to be better than yesterday. And with that, I say Amen, Ashe, Namaste, Brother Source.
Okay. We'll start off with we'll do a chant.
Yes,
okay. All right.
I love it.
Kala kala ika hakina, ika moana, kamuana ohonu, ika leva, kalaba nuku, ika hina, ika kala, ala ala kala ika hakina, ika moana, kamuana ohonu, ika leva, kalaba nuku, ika hina, ika kala, ala kala ika hakina ika moana kamuana hohonu ika lepa kalaba nuku ika hina ika kala ala ala kala ika hakina ika moana kamuana hohonu ika lepa kalaba nuku ika hina ika kala ala ala kala ika hakina ika moana kamuana hohonu ika lepa kalaba nuku ika hina ika kala ala ala kala ika hakina ika moana kamuana hohonu ika lepa kalaba nuku ika hina ika kala ala ala kala ika hakina ika moana kamuana hohonu ika lepa kalaba nuku ika hina ika kala ala
Yes, give thanks for that, my brother. Ashe,
Absolutely.
Aho, Adupwe. So, family, what you are experiencing right now and witnessing is Brother Source tapping in to the energy, the divine energy that we all have, that is all around us and also within us. And the first time that I experienced that, it reminded me of like in the church when they talk about people speaking in tongues. And it's like, it's not about the language, it's about giving praise and honor and acknowledging the divinity that is within us and all around. So that's the interpretation that I have of that. It sounds like Native American, indigenous in a way, but also it sounds African, it sounds, South American.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like universal. And I learned that just as people speak in tongues, they also sing in tongues, which is something that I enjoy. So I do hope that energy shift helped to activate. The purpose of the Alkebulan radio show is to inspire people to be a better version of themselves and to shine their light brightly into the world. And by having guests on like Brother Source, who is a healer, I am hoping, and my intention, not even hoping, but I'm willing and intending that people who are listening over the airwaves will be activated by this. And so generally we do affirmations, and I just want to acknowledge that this is a sacred space, and that the things that we have done to set the stage has made it even a higher vibration that I'm feeling here. And our goal is to be healed, healthy, and whole. So my affirmations that I give today are: I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am already perfect, whole, and complete. I am healthy, I am wealthy, and I am already perfect, whole, and complete. Remember that the vibration of your words are powerful. And even if you're not there yet, if you say it and you shift your energy as if it's already done, you have the power to create something new in your life. And so with that, I would like to welcome you again. I'm super excited to have you with me.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
This interview.
It.
Yes.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Man.
Yes. So we are announcing that we are going to do a series of multiple interviews, and the title is Man Know Thyself. How are we getting sick, and what can we do to heal ourselves of various diseases, including cancer? And so, Brother Source, you were a guest on this season 2. It was episode, I want to say it was 14, and we're on episode 27 now. And just as a recap, I would like for you to share about yourself as far as who you are and a little bit about your journey, because you actually healed yourself from cancer, which oftentimes I'm really in a place where when people hear that they have cancer, they feel like it's a death sentence, and it's not. And so how did you get where you are today? Who are you, and what brought you to this point on your journey? What was the catalyst to bring you here?
Absolutely. So let me start off by saying I never like to use the word cure. The body is either in balance or out of balance. So when you bring something back to balance, like even right now, like where it's been 7-8 years, and I know I'm not even, if I was to take my body into a vibration for 6-7 months of something, I would start to feel symptoms come back. So it's either your cells are healing or they're not. There's no such thing as you have to, after you maintain a certain thing and get out of a vibration, you need to maintain that as well, because the body's always shifting up or down. So just keep that in mind. You are the cure. So I teach people how to cure themselves, and I just give them a boost with different, with the mineral deficiency. The emotional part, I show them techniques to help heal themselves. The mineral deficiency, because the emotions and the minerals are together, people don't know that, but yes, so how you mentally treat yourself will drain you, because that takes energy, even if it's negative energy. That means it has to draw from an energy source, and the minerals are the energy source, the plant, so yeah. And good emotions, enhance them because they're alive too. We all in the vibration of nature, even though we think we're inside, they're outside. It's all the same vibration, you know. So, but yeah. So, I got here, years ago. I got sick. I came down with cancer, even though I had already knew that something was going on in my body before I got diagnosed. Make a long story short, I started eating the plants. I shut down my business, I shut down everything, and I said, you know what? If I only have 6 months to live, and y'all telling me I have 6 months to live, then I'd rather do it and try to figure it out on a die trying. But I'm not gonna let them yo-yo me. So I went on that journey, and I started eating the plants. I got out of the organic stuff in the store because I still was getting sick from it. Until I got to when I found out what God really creates and what He doesn't create. Everything that's green is not what He created. So everything that's green is not going to give you a chemical affinity to be able to help heal your body if you're that far along with the illness. It might work for a little colds and a little other stuff, but if the vibration is too low, you have to get a vibration that God created. So I went on that journey and had to lose almost everything about me and recreate myself. Because that's what also comes with it. Because my sickness was also intertwined with my emotion and who I thought I was in society, what I thought I'd been through, my trauma. All that was intertwined. All that had to be undone. So it's not just the physical. And that's how I ended up here. One thing led to another, and another thing led to another until I formulated the products.
Yeah, so that's powerful. You do have products, that's your main source, energy services. However, I have a question. When you stated everything that's green is not from God, in my mind I'm thinking we now have genetically engineered or genetically modified foods. Some people are not even familiar with the different terms. Like it used to say GMO, and now they're like, oh, this is, genetically engineered. Like, what is the difference between the green that God made versus the other green that you see out here? Are you referring to that, or is something else, or in addition to?
Okay, so let me be quite clear. Everything that I deal with, and the only thing, now I'm not saying it's the only way to heal yourself, this is just the only way I've learned. So I'm only spreading the word of how I learned. So I'm not saying anybody else, it's a lot of different ways to heal the body. This is how I learned. So I'm just spreading what I learned. Anything that's a hybrid, if you at a low enough vibration, it's not going to help you. Meaning, GMO, like you just asked about GMO, all these other, if it can't grow in the forest or in nature, it is a hybrid. If you're putting it in the ground, growing it on your season, it is a hybrid. Yes, it might be better than other things, but let's not get it twisted. It's a hybrid. And the difference between the two is the ones that God made, the bioactives God made, He has a lot of special stuff inside of His plants He made. The ones that are made off of that, which are the hybrids, the only one has selected few. So they put in your face, oh, it has this amount of minerals, it has that amount of minerals. Those inside of these hybrid things, that's nowhere near what you need because it's missing the whole element of the mother plant. It's a hybrid, so it only has selective things, and it also comes with the fact that it's artificial. It also comes with side effects, lots of lectins, lots of other things. Even the stuff that's green. So it's a big difference. But all of them come off of mother plant. They everything comes off of mother plant. That's the reason why they kill a lot of like even the oranges in Florida. So the original mother plants, when they pollinate, you can't have these new oranges around because what it's going to do is going to disease all of them because it's the mother plant and it's saying this is artificial. So then they say, it's this bad stuff going on around here, all this, No, it's just killing the ones that you make it off of. So therefore, you can't leave the old because you can produce the new ones very fast. So it'll make all of them sick because they came off of this. And Mother Nature gonna want to bring everything back to them. So then they make up this thing and say, we're gonna just, make up something and we had to kill a plant that causes this disease. They're supposed to cause this disease on the new plants because they don't belong here. So when everything is pollinated, you have mother things, you have mother DNAs inside of it, and they'll kill off the ones that was spliced off of them. So same thing with the pigs. Same thing with all that. It's not necessarily the pork. It's the type of pork and what they're being fed. And also, you can't have a wild pig around. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna give the other ones diseases and stuff. It's gonna kill them all off. Mother Nature because that's the original one.
Mother Nature will dominate.
And they're gonna bring. So therefore, that's what we're dealing with everything. So I only deal with the mother plant. So we get every piece of.
Okay.
We dig up every root. And we formulate that off of mother plants because that's how I learned. When I used it the other way, when I was sick and I was going in the stores using the organic stuff, I got bad results. So I only share with people what I did. I can't speak on nothing else outside of that. So and what I've learned.
Yes. Yes. So you hit on 3 points that I want to just reiterate because I think they're important. One, you talked about the oranges, and I remember some of the people that I know who lived in Miami, they were saying like back in the day, they had to cut down all their orange trees.
True.
And growing up, it was nothing to get, the fruit off of the tree in your backyard, a neighbor's yard, someone's yard on the street. And now there's no access to it anymore. And it is so hard to find seeded oranges. All these oranges are like seedless. It's so rare to find real seeded oranges. And so I think about, as you said, the mother plant, they got rid of the mother plant so that these seedless oranges could actually, yes. And then another point that you were saying is like bringing the body back to balance. I know like with holistic health, it's always recommended, like the holistic health coaching that I've been trained in, they say, oh, you can never say, oh, this can cure anything like that. We can say, even that you can heal yourself, but it's never about talking about cures. So for me, it's like being responsible with my words and knowing that the body, when it's out of balance, it looks and feels a certain way, and you get a certain result from that versus being in balance. And then you also spoke about the different high vibrations. It's not just the food, it's also your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. And when we talk about being alkaline, a lot of people some people may know about alkaline water, but when we talk about alkaline foods, it's also certain things that create an alkaline energy, like laughter, love, being authentic and authentically genuine. These are things that have a certain energy that raises your vibration versus anger, jealousy, a sense of lack versus a sense of abundance. So when we talk about healing, it's not just the physical things. I would like for you to talk a little bit about your journey, but I feel like, the way that the conversation is going, I'm almost wanting to jump into some of the nitty gritty, but would you like to share a little bit about like your journey when you were diagnosed with, what type of cancer was it again?
So leukemia.
It was leukemia, which is a cancer of the blood?
Stomach and blood, yeah.
Okay, stomach and blood. And you actually shut down your business and they told you had 6 months to live, which is, how long ago was that?
This was almost 7 years ago.
So
Almost 8 years. Yeah,
almost 8 years. Congratulations that you wrote your own story. You chose to be, the master of your own fate and destiny. And I've seen that where, doctors will say you only have a certain amount of time to live. And it's kind of like playing God to me. And I've also heard people's testimonies, but none like yours. And so what was the process that you went through for you to be standing here today as a testimony of bringing your body back into balance, reversing the diagnosis, and now assisting other people on their journey?
Absolutely. Well, let me say one thing. It took a lot of self-accountability, not societal accountability, all right? Which I think is very important, that we take more self-accountability and not focus on the societal accountability as much. But Yeah, it took me. Well, I'm gonna tell you, it took a lot of fear. I was scared the whole time. I did it until I started getting results. Um, so you have to do everything fearful. It's nothing gonna just come because you have to go against your own mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when I got diagnosed, I've always had a rebellious type mentality. So I've always been a rebel. If everybody go this way, I'm going that way. You know, it got me locked up. You know, I did time, but that's a very important part of my journey. Just now, I'm doing it positively. You know, going against the status quo, going against my own mind. I've always been the type. You have to have so much. You have to have some kind of rebel in you because we're taught not to put our bodies first. All right, we're taught, okay, school, this here, brush your teeth, da da da. We're not taught what we really are. So from the beginning, we already going against the grain. You know, and so we taught to value everything else except for self accountability. What is this first? What is this machinery? What is this body? What is this? What is this in the space? You know, it just took me on a journey of truth. You know, everything I did, I had to go against myself. I didn't do everything orthodoxly. You know, I did everything very, very much just testing on myself. You know, all the way down because of one of the reasons why I got sick. I know is because I used to do a lot of drugs, and I used to eat it, you know, because I was fearful. I was just getting out of prison. I was fearful of society. Even though I had a business, it looked like I was holding it together. I really wasn't, you know. So I had to take things to, get me, unnervous or whatever the case may be. And I know that helped mutate my body. Even when I started to heal, I was doing both. So I was eating the plants and taking drugs. You know what I mean? And eating plants and taking drugs. You know what I mean? So I was going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But the pain, yes. But the pain was so excruciating when I take the drug. The cancer was already in my bones. So it already spread, but I was using it to stay up because I was scared. But then again, I knew the pain came right away. So I was listening to my body. And I just got tired of the pain and dealt with the thing I used it for, which is mentalness and courage. And just learn how to deal with that butt naked without the drug. And eventually the plants overtook, and it gave me a feeling that I didn't need it anymore, and I didn't want the pain. I went back and forth, and I didn't. So it weaned me off, and I went through it. I had to detox literally from that, and I had to detox from my own emotions, and then the fear of replaying over and over in my head. They say this is gonna happen to me in 6 months, but that rebel part of me just was like, nah, we're gonna run it. I had to be okay with practicing on myself and saying, hey, it's okay if you die, because you want to learn. You want to learn so bad. You have to be willing almost to want to, because when you sign a contract in the hospital, it's the same thing. Whenever you sign anything over to them, you're saying, I'm not responsible. They are not responsible. You are A-OK and everything. If something happened to you on the table, blah, blah, that's what you're signing. Even though you're sick and you're scared, that's what you're signing. Why won't you do this for yourself? No matter what you think you know, why would I take this? Why wouldn't I take something God created? Y'all telling me it's poison. I'd rather take this God created than take this and y'all made it. Because just that rebel mentality led me, to practice on myself, even though everybody else was going against me. Like, oh, you're gonna die. My dad's a doctor, so he was telling me, you're gonna, he thought I was weird. I started making oils, and when I moved to Biloxi, he was like, man, it's just, they used to seeing the old me. They couldn't even, nobody couldn't understand but they didn't know it was stopping my episodes, and it was healing. I could feel it. I could feel it going in my blood whenever I ate these plants, and it was stopping episodes. So you have to be on your journey. You have to be willing to do it by yourself and do it alone. You're usually not going to get the support and cast of the people around you. Usually you're not going to, especially when it's different, when they're going to project fear, worry. You have to be okay with going on this journey by yourself. And I don't want to get too far about spiritually what we are, but technically, we came through our parents. We're not our parents. You know what I mean? Yes, and even though we're told like that, but you're not, so yes, so but that's what led me from one thing to another. I started moving from studying the plants, from Florida, Mississippi, Georgia, and I just became fascinated with being able to stop myself from having episodes until I just cleaned up all the other little habits and then just fully indulged, and it brought me to balance. And then I went back and studied those plants, and that's how, so I studied after I cured myself. I didn't know how to heal. I didn't have somebody telling me go do this, do that. I was only listening to my body, and everybody thought it was weird because I was eating plants, wild plants, and they like, but they didn't know what I was feeling and what I was, what I was doing. So I just went off that method. You gotta be okay with listening to that voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary for me because it's like intuitive healing. And when you spoke about the food or the plants, it made me think about food. Like whenever I eat a salad, I know that I feel differently. If I go a long time without eating a salad, I know I feel differently. Like when I eat fruit versus when I don't, I feel like I could be a little grumpier when I don't eat fruit. And when I do like live foods or raw foods, like I could fast all day. And then if I eat like a kale salad that's power packed, I'm like full and satisfied. So some food feels like it's empty food. And I know that food has different vibrations. Like there's, a higher vibration when you're dealing with living foods versus cooked or fruit and vegetables. So I found that to be interesting that you felt within your body that something wasn't right before you got the diagnosis. And then you were able to reverse what was going on in your body simply by paying attention to what was going on when you ingested certain things. And then even, the acknowledgement, what a testimony that you felt like you got to where you were because you were using drugs. However, it didn't make you want to go cold turkey and let go of it. It was kind of like a process of seeing with your body like, oh, wow, when I do this, I'm in pain. And when I choose life, I feel better. And then when I'm choosing, drugs that are harming my body, I feel worse. So it's really the listening to not just your body, but your spirit, you are able to kind of intuit. And that's something that we can all tap into, harness, and develop within ourselves. And then you mentioned that people only saw you for your past. And I think that is so key. I've been guilty of that. There's a exercise or technique that two people, Jerry and Sandy, a husband and wife, Reiki masters in Atlanta, they would say, when you've had an experience with someone and it doesn't feel good and you want to break that cycle, you may have to, choose to act like every time you see them, it's the first time that you're meeting them. And it reminded me of, when I was a teacher in a classroom, I used to talk about self-fulfilling prophecies. A lot of the teachers, they would say negative things about the students. I never hung out in the faculty room or the staff room. That was one of the reasons, because it was like a low complaining vibration. But when I was able to see the higher self in a student, when I kept my standards high, most of the time they rose to the occasion, and those who didn't, I felt that a seed was planted. So I think it's really key that we don't judge people by their past, because even historically, some of the people who've had shady backgrounds or scandalous stories, the universe, the creator, will use what we would say even the least of us. So even if there's a homeless person on the street, you don't really know that person's story. You don't know what that person has to offer you, or if that person has more courage. I think about that with things that are happening in the world. If the electricity went out and we had to live off the grid, homeless people would be the experts on how to manage when you can't plug in to all the creature comforts that we have in this society. And so I know you had an experience where, because people were seeing you for who you used to be and not who you were becoming, you unplugged from your father, who was a medical doctor. That within itself is quite interesting, because you would think you would lean on that, but like you said, you were paying attention to the and that's energy medicine too, paying attention to the vibration. Who's feeding me something, whether it's their thoughts, their words, or how, they make you feel at the end? Who's feeding me, or who is actually helping me march quicker to my death? And then one more thing is, you talked about doing it afraid. And life is too short, so we should do the things that even we fear doing. But it didn't seem like you had a fear of death, because you said you had to even accept that they're already saying 6 months, so I'm going to do the best that I can do. And if death comes, it won't take me out where I'm throwing up the white flag, surrendering. So I thought that was really key too. A lot of times fear holds us back, but it could be the very thing that propels us forward, not just into our own greatness, but also allowing other people to rise up, because we're actually living proof that it could be done.
Exactly. So just to speak on a couple of things. So that's why I say in your journey, everybody has their own journey. All right. Along my journey, me being in the streets and prison saved my life. Everybody that's around me did. Who stayed out of the streets. So it saved my life, and but it also kind of gave me a niche of not being scared of death. So when that time came years later, when I'm doing positive things, I still had that in me, like, I'm supposed to be dead anyways. What you got? All that replays through your head to give you motivation to go against the norm. So that part of my life was a necessity that I can go back and dig in and use that, and go against the norm. My mom, and I've always been an observationist. So because of the abuse in my childhood, I've always learned to go off of observation, because I could not trust even the people that I came from. You know what I mean? Because they were going through a certain stage in their life. That's why my mom is the face of the company, because I observed her when we got close after I was in prison, because I observed her, how she was done, and I said that when she died, because we were close, and I never got a chance to mend it like that, because she died before I got out, and so but I watched her decline, lose weight with lung fibrosis. I watched how they yo-yo. They gave her all these crazy stuff to do. Then the antibiotics eventually gave her an infection, because she was so weak from all stipulations, waiting on the lung transplant until she got an infection, and that's really how she technically died. So I said, you know what? I'll never let them do me like that. I just can't do that. I won't do it. And a year later, the universe like, oh yeah, we're gonna test that too. We're gonna test that out. And so me observing her go through that is also another thing why I say, no, I'd rather figure it out myself. I observed how they did her. I observed. Now, shout out to my father. Me and my father are real close. But now he, but I observed my father as well. I've never been stuck on social status. That could come from my childhood with the abuse and me not having confidence when I was younger, until I left and went to the streets, and then I did it by fear. But when I was younger, I had low confidence, on different things. But what I'm saying is, my dad, I always observed. So the one thing I had was to observe, and so I even observed my mom. I observed my dad. And just because they had the social status, engineer and doctor, they were unhappy. And on top of it, after my mom left my dad, I observed my dad. So he's the pharmacist and have the doctor degree on the wall, but he's taking all his medication. So it's almost like, if you go, I can have accolades and say I'm a personal trainer. All right, but I'm out of shape. Are you gonna pay me because I'm an out of shape personal trainer? So it's like I thought about that. I said, why would I listen to you? And you just as sick as everybody else. I can't take your advice. It's not even working for you. So I use logic once again. Logic. You know, I'm like, how am I listening to you? Nothing you doing is working for your personal self. Yeah, you might have the accolades and you get the social status, pat on the back, good. But
Yes.
but as far as your personal, your personal, your personal self is something completely different. So I always felt like it was void of me listening to him. And we used to get into things like I said, we close now, but we used to get into it because he really means good. But just because somebody's intention is good, that doesn't mean that's for you. That's an emotional decision. Just because somebody means well, they say I'm gonna give you this, just take. No, and we can get deeper in the energy while you don't. But you need to tell people, no, I'm not. Family, status, doesn't matter. You have to understand that just because somebody's intention is good, that does not mean that that's for you.
Yes.
And so I've always been an observationist, and that's what also made me, because I'm looking at everybody else. Everybody looking at me thinking I'm losing something because I'm acting different, but I'm actually opening my eyes to see the insanity of what I used to be doing and y'all are doing.
Yes.
And the only thing that drove me was I'm getting this illness out of me that they say I can't. And I'm looking at everybody else run in fear to the doctor. So that's the energy. Yeah, I didn't have a social status, I didn't have everything at the time, but I'm looking at the madness. And I'm like, you might not get a plaque on the wall for this, but this is the highest thing you can do as a human because it takes you back inside. And then you expand out. So it's like then I got my calling. I didn't know what I wanted to do in the world. I just didn't want to go back to prison no more. I didn't want to get in I didn't want to go to jail no more. I was tired of. So that was my whole goal, but I didn't know no universal purpose until I healed myself. So your universal purpose can come out of the chaos. Usually it does.
Yes.
So
that's a very profound statement.
Yeah. So you gotta be and I was willing to. So one of the things I can say is, now that I help people, I see that people don't want to give up time and what they've already committed to reverse self-accountability. So now you get into the kids, and the curse of the kids is they have to follow behind somebody who never been they're selectively self-accountable. And I don't want to get too far, but I was a victim of that too. I gave my kids certain things too, but before I knew where I was at now, but when it's time to reverse it, I had the option to say, okay, I don't want to listen to my dad. I don't want to listen to this. I don't have to listen to this. But if I would have been years younger, that could have been forced onto me.
That's true.
And on average, 5 years, usually you die from those cancers after treatment. So, I would have been, on average, I would have been dead. So,
it's a ladybug in here, and I'm on video. That's a good sign. We got a ladybug in the house with us. As much as I love nature too.
But yeah.
Okay.
So
let the ladybug stay.
Yeah,
The candle is doing its thing. I have never had a ladybug in here. So back to the subject at hand. I find it interesting that as you describe this experience where you had an experience where you knew you didn't want to go to jail anymore, but jail saved your life because everyone around you was actually, who you were with or you ran with in the streets. They're not here anymore. I thought that was so profound. And then also you said, out of the chaos, a lot of times you find your universal purpose.
True.
And I'm in dialogue around that with people sometimes. Sometimes you think the worst thing is happening to you. But it's not really the worst thing because things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And things actually work for your highest good. And so in the midst of what seems like a disaster, or the chaos, it's really like the perfect thing to happen because it gives you an opportunity to transform, to push you to the other side of where you are, to where you really need to be. And oftentimes we don't see that. I could be guilty of that too, but when I have people who are going through things that I care about or that I want to support, that's one of the things that I talk about. Like, this is the perfect thing to be happening right now. And most of the time, people don't want to hear that. They're like, what? What are you talking about? This is like awful. And you have the nerve to say this is like the perfect thing that can be happening. And also, you have to release in order to allow something to come. You have to be willing to let go. And you spoke about that too, about, you know, the releasing of certain mindsets, the releasing of certain people. And I also admire that we have the opportunity as we heal ourselves to heal others through our relationships that we have, like whatever's going on with your dad, where you are today, you have done enough work on yourself that you have a better relationship with your father than if you had not been working on your healing. It is straight up a ladybug in here. I feel like it's some ancestral things going on because the candle, it never crackled. And the candle started crackling during the prayer. The ladybug is on my shoulder. I receive. So, with this being said, okay, so we have your products, and I love that you're honoring mom through your products. But what happens, and also to honor the fact that we have a global audience, what happens when, and I've had people say this, oh, you know, all that sounds good, but it's not really affordable. My health insurance, the copay for the prescription drugs is cheaper than this, or oh, it's too expensive to eat healthy. I'm going to McDonald's off the dollar menu. That's an American thing. However, I know that you deal with energy medicine, and I'm curious if you have people who they come to you and they really need support, but they're not in a financial position to invest. And it's not just the herbs, it's the energy, it's the time, it's the foraging, it's the knowledge that's all bottled up in one of these bottles. So what happens? Look, I'll put it in my hand. I'm going to take it, and I'm not going to do nothing bad with it. But when I was younger, every summer, I always had ladybugs touch me in some way. So I find that this is really a good sign. So as you all see, we're not in the studio, and we definitely have nature with us. So I guess that's going to be your friend for now.
Yeah, we should be chilling.
So is that a ladybug or a man bug? You said he's chilling.
Yeah, he's chilling.
The man bugs are green, I think. So my question to you is, even in this moment, you know, I didn't know what that was. So I'm like, whoo. But then I changed my energy and I accepted, oh my gosh, it's like a good sign, good energy. So when
you ready to jump?
Yes. My sons love when I get all creepy crawly, girly. So when I look at these herbs, I know that within this bottle is something that can help people transform things that they're dealing with. However, what if a person is not in a position to invest in this financially and also to, you know, support their own healing as well as, you know, supporting something outside of the box, thinking outside of the box of the norm. I'm going to get an ibuprofen, a pop a pill for this. What can people do outside of purchasing your products that can support them in being more empowered with their own healing?
Okay, so that's a good question. So the first thing I'm gonna say is you have to evaluate what you value. All right, meaning most people say that they can't. Most people say that they can't. Most people say that they can't afford something, but then they go pay for the things that are getting them sick in the first place. Secondly, you don't have to pay for information. You still have to get quiet. So what I mean by that is you have to people who your answers are right around you. It's what are you willing to let go of yourself? And if usually when you do the opposite, usually you find out the answers you want to know. When everybody's going this way, usually you go the opposite way. Usually you're gonna find your answers. One thing I will say when people come to me, and if they don't have, first of all, you have to sacrifice something. So I was willing to let go of my business. I was willing to let go of my social status. I was willing to let go of everything to find out my answers. You know, because some of those things might keep